Welcome, everyone, to Trauma Talks Thursdays, episode 9, season 2. Yep, it's a journey. I know. I say this week after week, but that's not how the journey went all my life. You see, at just the age of 14, I found myself standing on the edge of darkness where I attempted suicide for the first time. It wasn't until 2015, I found myself in that unthinkable situation once again. You see, I know that there are many of you today grappling with those type of feelings, and it has a painful cycle, especially in many young people's face. And I want you to know that you have people around you. Don't matter what, you have to understand and learn about the light. Many people, they can plan their suicide, while many people can act on impulse right at that moment. There's so many stories that reflect deeper within this community in New York City because the struggle of suicide is real. The reality is, countless people go through many different challenging things, different days, at different times, at different moments. It is hard. But we need you to know there are people out here that loves you. At times, when you feel lonely, when you feel that you're in that dark place, and that moment is stifling you, always remember there is something happening after the dark cloud passes. There is something greater that is meant for you. You have to understand and show yourself as well that kindness that you need for you. Because every single time when I snap out of it in the past, I would remember the brightness, the calm, and that is space that you are safe. I want you to understand, no matter what happens, you are important. Your life is important. And you will be heard. There are many people who are willing to listen. I took myself to bring myself on this path in life today, to be who I am because of my struggles. And Ra is telling you to be Mr. Trauma Talks. It's not easy. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't the struggles of my past. Because I have dragged myself through certain types of mud to be here today. But again, when I thought there weren't support, there was. Sometimes we don't look in the right place, or we would think that no one is listening when there are people listening. So remember that. You will find a right way out. Remember Rossi, week after week, when God cannot come, he sends. I surround myself with positive people every single day. And the people that I surround myself with that bring positivity, they are here with me tonight. A couple of them are here with me tonight. And these are the people you have to look out for in your life as well. Now, we could go in depth with this, but we have a packed show for you tonight. I love the feedback on my podcast, and I love that it's reaching people. You know, just recently I heard a question, Ra, you're Caribbean, right? Ra, you're West Indian, right? Yeah. But Ra, how come you didn't bring a guest from the Caribbean on Trauma Talk Thursdays? I'm like, I'm not sure they want to tell their story. You see, we live in a community. I'm from a community. Well, hopefully, I'm not from that community because I have built this for myself. But at the end of the day, when I say this, is I am not into adding to people's traumas. I am not here to add to others people's stress. We are here to help you understand you are not alone. And when I said that before, is because there's a lot of backstabbing and eating each other off, rather, meaning biting their heads off, rather than support. Many people look and talk about God all the time, but God teaches you to share love, to show others love and kindness, respect, and be nice to each other. You show me where that God teaches you to hate. Show me where God teaches you to envy or be jealous of what your friend is doing rather than you lift that person up. So I am telling you today to keep looking for the people that love you. So, yes, no one step forward to tell their story from my background. It's okay because the right stories always come. As I said, when God cannot come, he sends. And guess what? You know what I tell you every week? What is meant for you shall never pass you by. And what passes you by was never meant for you. And I'll leave you all with this and bring you, as Ra had promised, to bring you all a show from Times Square. It's currently postponed, but here it was about to happen. We're about to show a beautiful song that Ra did 2 years ago in Times Square. So I promised you all Times Square. So let's get a little bit of Times Square. But as I said, we have a packed show. We have the amazing Be Lady of Happiness, which we now call the Song Sorceress, waiting in the back to bring you all some amazing song therapy. We have the beautiful and talented Brittany Purr sitting all excited backstage together with our amazing featured guest tonight, who, you know what she used to do? She was affiliated with Sesame Street, and she'll tell you all a little more about that when we bring her up. But for all the amazing moms, this is an amazing song for all of you. इंसान मरा करते हैं विश्वास नहीं मरता है नामुमकिन हो भी मुमकिन विश्वास किया करता है ममता के मंदिर की है तो सबसे प्यारी मूरत ममता के मंदिर की है तो सबसे प्यारी मूरत भगवान नजर आता है जब देखी तेरी सूरत जब जब दुनिया में आए तेरा ही आंचल पाए जन्मों की दीवारों पर हम प्यार अपना लिख जाए बंधन तो प्यार का बंधन है जन्मों का संगम है ये बंधन तो प्यार का बंधन है जन्मों का संगम है ओ, 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 ओ,
अच्छी है, तू कितनी भोली है, प्यारी प्यारी है। ओ माँ, 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 ओ माँ.
So, everyone, let me do this right now. Bring up the B Lady of Happiness, Suzanne Finley, Susie.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Thank you. I enjoyed watching that. And
Thank
I
you.
a comment on what you were saying about never being alone. This is why I like sound therapy so much. It is the fastest way to get out of depression. And the sound will carry you to other places. And there's a little secret I'm going to tell you tonight that was one of my favorite things to share. There's a saying that the angels live between the overtones. So when you're listening to the ringing of the fork together, they say that's the angel singing in between the different overtones. So just let them be here to comfort you and bring you peace. And let them carry you to whatever seems to be your happy place. And just relax. Take a deep breath in. And listen to those angels singing. Because you can literally clear depression just like that, just by giving yourself a little time to listen to some music. It doesn't have to be tuning forks. It could be whatever makes you happy. Somebody playing something on YouTube. And believe it or not, something as crazy as like the sound of an air conditioner or a fan, certain frequencies will just move that energy of depression right out of you. You just have to listen carefully and let the sound carry you out of it. Okay, whenever you're ready, you're going to open your eyes. Maybe wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. And maybe take note of that beautiful place you might have visited while listening to all the different sounds. And I'd like to welcome Brittany now. Come on, Brittany.
Susie, thank you so very much for the soothing sounds. I always say this, or I said this the past couple of times, but it is like a massage of sonic energy, and it's just that deep breath that I needed today. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's always fun. Thank you.
And Mr. Trauma Talk says, thank you all for joining, and good night and welcome to Trauma Talks Thursdays. And we have an amazing, wonderful guest today. In addition to Susie blessing us with her music, which is absolutely incredible and healing. And my goodness, yeah, starting on a heavy note today, but it's a good reminder that the power of our stories, the purpose of our stories, the power and purpose behind having this every week is so that we can save lives, so that our stories can be heard, can be witnessed, can be empathetically experienced, understood on the grounds of there is more to life than the challenges and the struggles that we face. And yes, depression is a very serious thing. It's not, a lot of people just go, just smile and it'll get better. And that's not how it works. It's like pulling yourself out of quicksand and not knowing the tricks or tactics to get out of it. And that's why we're here. We're here to support people with a variety of modalities, whether it's Susie with her music that could maybe bring that glimpse of pleasant feelings, that glimpse of, I can take a deep breath and I can relax. This space exists. Or knowing that whatever struggles or hurdles or people that, or archetypes, let's call it that keep showing up in your life. If you're constantly dealing with people with narcissistic tendencies, how do you navigate that? They're not going away, but maybe there's something that can be learned from the stories that we share on how we've navigated these situations or these archetypes or these really crisis moments that we all face. We're in this together as humans. And sometimes I feel like we've lost sight of what it means to be human. And I think that's the question that we get to ask ourselves. What does it really mean to be human? And what does it mean to see the humanity in everyone, regardless of race, gender? That doesn't matter. When you see the human in another human being. And I think at some point, when it comes to bullying, when it comes to these situations of racism, when it comes to these situations of souls being so tormented that they take their own lives, we really get to sit down and take a look at how are we showing up for ourselves? How are we showing up for others? How do our choices not only impact us, how are they impacting those around us? Because even when someone takes their life, it's detrimental. it does create shockwaves. Sometimes it creates copycats, but it definitely creates a void in someone's life because they are missed. And if you are considering taking that step, take a look again at what it means to be human. Look through our stories. Last week, we had an amazing speaker who shared about his journey through depression and finding his purpose. And yeah, it's a struggle. Life is a struggle. We each have our struggles, no matter whether you're wealthy, the wealthiest person in the world, or the person the deepest in poverty. Yeah, the struggles look different, but we're all humans. We all get a measure of what we can handle. And some days it's really hard to handle it. I feel that. I hear that. And I've seen it. But I've also seen the way through. And I see those that wake up every day knowing that it's a new day, knowing that they can make a difference, and leading their lives forward through that. So with that stated, Ra, Susie, will you all be coming back up, or should I introduce our guest? Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, we will come back up together
Awesome.
because also all my amazing rosters are looking in our Obscuram nights. We want you all to stay on. And, as I said, I promised you all a concert coming live from Times Square tonight. And because of the rain, we decided to postpone it for next week. So I have one more song to play before we bring on our amazing guests. And I wanted the two of you to be on here with me. And I want to tell some of you amazing people that's part of our podcast community that we live stream here, and you take your time out while we live stream to come out here, like the amazing Tamara Patrick. Oh my God. Week after week, she shows support. She's always here. And let me tell you about this amazing person and soul, because Tamara has shared her story on Trauma Talk Thursdays. She will share anyone's post. And when I tell you social media, she will always be one of the first people to like, comment, and she shares your stuff. And I have witnessed where people do not even like her stuff and comment as beautiful as she's sharing back their own stuff. And that is sad. But Tamara, I see you. And I want to tell you, I love you and thank you for what you do. You don't just talk, you actually walk. And I love that, because that's the same community that these amazing ladies are in, Brittany, Susie, myself. So thank you so much for that. Let's just quickly run through this in comment. We have Sans Babylal. Good night. I want to tell you happy Mother's Day. That's my aunt. She's looking at us from Georgia. We have the beautiful Donna Mae as well, waking out just to see Trauma Talk Thursdays from the Philippines. Thank you. My aunt is on here again, Robert Pauline. She is saying one of her favorite songs from the beginning. I was just running through here. Jenny, good night to you. Happy Mother's Day. I love you, Jenny. We all love you. We can't wait to see you in June. We have Woe from Asian. The support, they come out here. We have Sweetie Nuri. I feel so at peace tonight. Thank you all. We have Ms. Viva. She's a little bit late, but she's here saying, I love this. And then we just run through this quickly. Anybody else who missed for now, we will. So right now, we just play this beautiful song because we want to introduce our amazing next guest. For the next 3 minutes, this is for all the beautiful mothers. The first song spoke about the bond and the love between a mother and her child. And it talks about the elements, the sun, the sky, the wind. It's inseparable. And the love between a mother and her child, those are the things that happens. So here we go. One more song. मैं कभी बतलाता नहीं हर अंधेरे से करता हूँ मैं माँ यूं तो मैं दिखलाता नहीं तेरी परवाह करता हूँ मैं माँ तुझे सब है पता है ना माँ तुझे सब है पता मेरी माँ बीच में यूं न छोड़ो मुझे घर लौट के भी आना पाऊँ माँ बीच न इतना दूर मुझको तू यार भी तुझको आना पाऊँ माँ क्या इतना बुरा हूँ मैं माँ क्या इतना बुरा मेरी माँ जब भी कभी पापा मुझे जो जोर से झूला झूलाते हैं माँ मेरी नजर तूने तुझे सोचो यही तू आके थामेगी माँ उनसे मैं ये कहता नहीं पर मैं समझ जाता हूँ मैं माँ चेहरे पे आने देता नहीं दिल ही दिल में घबराता हूँ माँ तुझे सब है पता है ना माँ तुझे सब है पता मेरी माँ Happy Mother's Day and thank you all. So at this time, I would definitely, one second, sorry, music is still on in the background. Yeah, so I would leave the show up to Brittany Purr and Suzanne Finley.
All right. So our next guest is pretty incredible. But let's give a huge round of applause and lots of love to Raw for his incredible music. And thank you for celebrating Mother's Day in such a heartwarming, heartfelt way. Even though the full show is postponed, this is still so beautiful. And it's amazing to hear your singing and to see how amazingly talented you are, Raw. So thank you. Thank you so much for creating this experience and for doing this for the moms out there today, such as me. Happy Mother's Day from your Trauma Talk Thursdays. And our next guest is Bonnie. She is a former Sesame Street artist turned powerhouse real estate leader. Her story is unlike anything you've heard, surviving personal pain, rebuilding her life through art, leadership, and entrepreneurship, now mentoring the next generation of changemakers. With over 25 years in real estate and roots in animation, publishing, fashion, and graphic design, Bonnie proves that creativity and resilience are a force for reinvention. From her days in New York City to transforming lives in North Virginia, she has lived it all and is here to pass on her blueprint. Let's give her a heartfelt welcome. Come on screen, Bonnie.
Oh, there.
Great to see you today.
Thank you.
And
Blessed.
welcome, welcome. So we get to dive in on your story from beginning, struggle, and how you have come to this space of mentoring change makers. And Susie, did you want to say anything real quick? Oh, you're muted.
I am just super excited 'cause I had no idea that, because I know you had many talents, but I didn't know you also worked on Sesame Street. So that is like every time I learn more about you, it just get cooler and cooler and cooler. I'm like, wow, you really have quite a portfolio over here. So I can't wait for you to dive in, and there's some of the little secrets I didn't know about you, so I can't wait to hear more. I'm very excited. So welcome, welcome.
You tell me when to start, because boy, there's 70 years of start.
Go for it. We're ready.
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up very average, very Brooklyny. You'll hear my accent. And I always knew I was artsy, but I never knew where it was going to go. I went to one of the most dangerous high schools and did my share of rescuing because I wasn't into the substance scene. So I would be picking people up off the floors. I was always that rescue kind of person. And I mean, I've seen riots and things. When you grow up in Brooklyn and this kind of Brooklyn, there are so many crazy things that go on that you see instruments being thrown off the stage and you're rescuing someone else and someone else is rescuing you. I never thought I would ever live through something like that. I had to graduate high school early because I'm like, I got hit in the eye with an egg when I was in one of the main presidential buildings. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Time to move on and go to college and graduate early, which I did. I started out in Brooklyn College, just so you can get my background. I was going to go for teaching. I wanted to go for special ed, closed out of that field. So from there, I ended up applying to Pratt Institute, which was a big art school. And I didn't even think I can get in there. I had basic training there. But blessing, I ended up with a Regents scholarship. And my parents, who were very middle class, they were like, if this is where you're meant to be, we're going to make this happen for you. So I did go to Pratt Institute and I studied graphic design, illustration. Really didn't know where I would go, but I'll tell you a funny story. My very first day of class, I had what they call nude modeling. And I was like, I was not ready. I didn't know I would be impacted that way and realize, well, that's how artists start. So that was really one of my funny first starting art school stories. I did enjoy going through art school. I didn't know I'd be in the graphic design illustration field, but that's how I ended up in the graphic design illustration. And when I got out of school, it's a journey. Talk about resilience. You know, you bring your portfolio around and there's people who like, oh my God, love you. And there's people who like, keep working on your stuff. You really need a lot of work. I'm actually publishing, as we speak, a children's book I did in Pratt Institute. I never got it published. I didn't know what I didn't know. And boy, talk about that is a journey, because I did things in old school illustration where you did it on a board and it was a scratch board and designed it that way. And now everything is digital. So learning a lot about this publishing, and that is a story in itself, which I'll save for another time. But from there, I did do a lot of freelance. So Sesame Street was one of them. I worked in a lot of big publishing companies. As a freelance artist, I worked in full-time in the publishing industry. And that's when they still did layouts and mechanicals. And it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I have to move on from the layout and mechanicals. And then I was blessed to meet this guy named Sal Del Rocca from cinema television design in the city, and ended up working for over 5 years in the animation field, film animation. Never dreamed of anything like this. So we really never know where we're going to end up in life on our journey, because I thought I was going to go for teaching. I thought I was going to, and I did tap into I'll tell you about that. I did work with some special ed, and I'll tell you about that further. But I was blessed to work in film animation. I did Xanadu, I did Beatlemania. I did a lot of the special effects, even in Xanadu, where things were lit up or streaks. And I did a lot of the type, what you see in the movie, the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, where you have the text and the type. I had to design the front and the end of a movie. So that was a new experience I never thought I would do. And that was way before computers and old school, when they used cameras to do special effects. I actually met this man who named Tony, that was from Captain Kangaroo. And that was a funny story, because I always thought Captain Kangaroo, who I grew up with, was an older man. Turns out I find out from him he was actually a young man. So funny stories. And I'll tell you one more funny story from the animation field. There was a guy that walked in, and with the two guys that walked in, one was like a producer. And the guy says to me, "Do you know who that is?" I said, "No." He looked like a baseball cap, looked like a regular person, didn't even think anything of it. And he says, "Well, that's John Belushi." I said, "Huh?" So I started putting things together, and it was just really funny, because I was still at that, younger age, still dating, meeting, going out, and Saturday Night Live, everybody was watching. So I didn't realize who it was. So I kind of laughed when I met, because he looked like a regular guy in a baseball hat, and I had no idea it was him. So it was just a funny story that I'll always remember. But then it got to the point where there was a strike where they had to close down a lot of the film companies. I was part of the Screen Cartoonist Guild of Motion Pictures. I ended up moving at that time with my husband at that time to Connecticut. And that was my break from New York, and a change. There, I actually started an interior accessory design business called Trans Design. And I became a director within a year and a half. And they were amazed, because I had given birth the same month I became a director of this company. And they didn't know how I even pulled that off. I ended up in an unaligned marriage, and that was a struggle, because I had two kids who were very young toddlers, and I knew that here I'm building a business, and here I need to get them through it. And there were times where I had to leave the house with them if it felt uncomfortable. So at that time, my kids, and they still are to this day, are my life. And I will put my life on the line for them. And no matter what my struggles have been, and they have been great, and you try to not think about it during those, times after, but I will always put my family first. I now have 6 beautiful grandchildren from 1.5 to 13, and I will put my life on the line for them, because that's what moms do, especially for Mother's Day. That's what this is about. But I want to bring you a little further. I ended up having to leave my marriage because I was with him for 20 years. We keep it friendly, but I needed to move my kids on from that marriage. I ended up meeting my present husband. His name was Tommy, and he's the one that said, "I want to take your kids to a different environment," brought me back to New York. We bought a house, and we were starting over. And that was after 15 years of a lot of challenges, and, still with, my building businesses and stuff like that, and still being an artist. So it was overcoming. And during my Connecticut times, I actually worked with the mentally challenged. I did art programs for them, some of them amazingly gifted. And you want to talk about being humble. I mean, the relationships I had with them. And one of them, they did a news article on, because he could see, but he couldn't hear well. But he had a gift. And the guy that did Flash Gordon actually was his uncle. And I was amazed that nobody came to visit this poor guy. And I love being part of helping change people's lives, even if they didn't understand at that time. So I worked with many, many people who suffered and struggled during the Southbury Training School, when I was working with some of the mentally challenged with their arts. And I would do that today if I found programs to do that. So moving forward, I remarried, I moved to New York, and was starting my life over. Never thought I'd get into real estate, by the way, coming from the arts. But with my interior accessory design business, the realtor said, you could stage houses, you can help people visualize, and I believe you would be good at it. So 25 plus years later, I've been doing real estate. I built real estate up in New York, old school. So old school was, knocking on doors. I would farm. People would know who I was, and I would get business that way because it was more personal. Love bringing people gifts. That's my love language. And even through different struggles, there was a lot of financial struggles after my unaligned marriage and starting over. And I didn't have the support that most people would need. So I had to find a way to even with myself remarried, when you don't have the financial support for the young children extra, it gets very challenging. So a lot of my life struggle has been financial. To this day, it's 70. And I'll tell you more further because it's a whirlwind. And here at 70 years old, I am still reinventing myself and have never, ever given up and have more to tell you to bring you to this point. So my husband, who became my hero, he actually passed away 3 years ago. He helped me through the kids growing up. He actually used to sing on stage to me. Even though he wasn't in the acting field, but he actually, outside of his job, was brought into theater. And one time actually brought sung to me a love song on stage. And, he was my second marriage and amazing man to watch in progress. Unfortunately, 10 years after I knew him, because he was 10 years older than me, he had a stroke. And that was major. And I still have goosebumps today thinking about what I had to live for, because I didn't know if he was going to be okay. That was unexpected when he was in his 50s. So it took him a while to get back to himself. And I was still struggling financially. And, financial still has to keep roof over your head. So what ended up happening with that is that he started healing from that. But long story short, he ended up with diabetes and onset diabetes. And wow, that was a whirlwind after the stroke. So I had 10 really beautiful years with him, even with certain financial struggles. But then he was getting sicker and sicker. We ended up moving from New York to Virginia because both my kids moved there. I knew they would start family. I was ready to give up my real estate and my security because I wanted to see my kids and family grow up, and they knew they would have children at some point, and knew I had to reinvent myself in Virginia. But the miracle of him passing away, I call it a bittersweet miracle, was one, if we didn't make the move, he wouldn't have gotten a kidney transplant. We sold my house to my sister, bless her. She bought it with her husband, who also unexpectedly passed away. What a whirlwind, because she's still living in my house to today. And from that point on, we have, I had just started becoming an author. A friend of mine who I sold a home to way back in New York brought me into an author circle. Never thought of myself being an author outside of other things I've done. And that author circle brought me into probably meeting all of you today and meeting Raul and Susie and some of the others that were meeting through this journey of being an author. But the amazing thing is I had 2 books I was a collaborative author in. And through that book, my husband was helping with the first 2. So his picture got in those first 2 books. They're very special to me. And that right after that, he passed away. But I'm going to share another crazy miracle, and maybe I'll save it for when you ask me the question of how I am turning things around and what is making me feel at peace now. But I'm living in Virginia almost about 14 years now. And with my husband passing away, it was a second marriage. I lost a pension. I, to this day, have struggled and have said, I have to rebuild myself. I can't give up on myself at 70, at 80. I don't care what age, because I know that I have a journey that is a miracle that I'll tell you more about, which is part of the last question that they're certainly going to ask me of what is transforming me. And that will blow everybody away when they start asking those questions. But I miss my husband, and the crazy story will come out when, Raul, you asked me that question of what is transforming me. And boy, will I tell you something that will blow you away. So my biggest piece though is I love helping people and knowing I can change lives and paying it forward. And people don't always know it, and that's okay. And like you said, Britt, that sometimes people are put in our life for a short time. People have helped me through some financial stuff, and they were put there for me for a reason, for a short time, and then they're gone. I had a hero rescue a few people from some unaligned situations, and I did some crazy stuff. And I would step probably in front of with a bullet to rescue somebody, and I've done it. And that's a story in itself at another time. But that brings me to where I am today, enjoying my beautiful family, especially on Mother's Day, and my grandchildren and my granddaughter, who's going to be in a ballet recital this weekend. So I feel blessed, and I can't wait to share with you the other miracle that at 70 years old, it started when I was 67, what's really transforming me to put me at peace very late in life. So I know I could talk forever and talk a lot more, but I have a feeling you're going to have a lot more you want to hear.
Awesome. So I need to ask that question because Raul's not coming back up.
Okay.
He's in the background running the show. So what is, you have to just go right in. Like, don't let us ask you what is transforming you.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a miracle in itself. I haven't talked about it publicly. So are you ready for this?
Yes.
With all my trauma of financial and my life, my whole life is my children and grandchildren. It is my life. I love my friends, my family. There's family members who have different challenges, and I'll do anything for them. And Susie, I'll jump in front of a bullet for you. It's just who I am. And I've done crazy stuff. But when my husband passed away, before my husband, and this is spiritual belief, I had a few mediumship readings where my mom came through, and I'll share this story with you because it is bizarre. I knew my mother was sick, and my sister says, you better come to the hospital. She's in a coma state. And I ran from Virginia to New York, to St. Catherine's, by the way, St. John's at that time. And I'm looking at her in the face, and this is so important. I'm looking at her face. I tried opening her eyes. They were like bright blue eyes, like a light going through her eyes. And I looked at her and I held her and I said, Ma, she was 98 years old. I wanted her to make to 100. I said, Ma, I love you. It's time to let go. And my mom and I were very close. And my sister and I went back to the house. And you need to hear this. 2 hours later, she was gone, my mom. What happened on the mediumship reading that I had at that time, she said, he came through and said, your mother wants to say, thank you for giving me permission to go. You're the one that gave me my wings. And I had chills, and she's going to send you butterflies. And I knew she was okay and free in heaven, because she didn't want to go down with her medical eating up every fund she had at that age. And my sister was blown away, because here we go back to the house, and I'm telling her, don't listen to the story, but the miracle gets bigger. Are you ready for more? Are you ready for a bigger miracle? We're freezing.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry. Had to mute because
I have a bigger miracle for you here. When my husband passed away, he passed away on November 23rd, 2021. Of course, the financial scared the heck out of me, because he kept the roof over my head for a very long time with all my different financial challenges. And I literally walked in on him, and I was amazed that he was gone. So from that point on, I happen to have had a mediumship reading, and I've had a few before. And it was set up about 2 months before he passed away. It was set up for December 6th. So the crazy story behind this, and I have not talked about it publicly, is, well, the medium, his name was Bill. He says to, actually, the medium the medium that actually brought him in, her name was Lori. And Bill brought me in with my mom, but Lori brought my mom in. And Lori brought my husband in because we started chatting, and she goes, we're supposed to stop chatting now because we're having interruptions. There's a husband here. He's here. He's here. That's all I had to hear. I was in shock zone because I didn't tell her. And I had almost a 2-hour mediumship reading that day. And the miracle of this is we're not talking, oh, we're okay from heaven and everything is beautiful. I mean, we got some of that too. I was like, I can't find your passwords in the computer. I don't know what to do. I was like asking very intense personal questions. Like, I don't know what to do with this stuff. I recorded every mediumship reading. So I started getting some of those answers because I needed to move on, but I didn't know how to track all this stuff, the financial stuff, because he wasn't supposed to pass. So it was so off guard. Like his will wasn't perfect. Like all this crazy stuff that I'm asking from heaven to earth how to help this. So after 2 hours of that first reading, from then on, I had almost a year's worth of mediumship between only 2 mediums, and they had different perspectives, which I'll save for another time. But this has been healing me. You talk about that grieving time and the loss. It was healing me differently and magically, and I didn't know it. So it got to the point where I was getting past the grieving, and I was like, I need to know more about the afterlife. I need to know about up there. Like I was literally I started writing a book and transcribing that because I wanted to know the details, and they had to intervene with me to get it. After those 14 mediumship readings, are you ready for more crazy stuff? You ready for
Go
this?
all in. Go all in.
I went to a place called the Art of Living Retreat after my 14 sub-medium readings. And I met this girl. Her name was Holly. I didn't know her. So what ended up happening was Holly said to me, she just knew my husband passed, but she didn't know anything else. The next morning she comes to me and she says to me, what's your name? I said, Bonnie Lierse. She says, what's your husband's name? I said, Thomas Lierse. She says, huh. And long story short, she was woken a dream visitation, which I have never heard of, by the way, because I was there for some kind of awakening and chakras and sound, all that stuff. And I was, so just lost my train of thought. So here she's telling me, your husband woke me out of a sleep. I had to write his name down, Tomlierse. She knew nothing about him and had to get a message to me because I kept looking at a sign in the place that said, who am I? I was asking myself, who am I? And the crazy part was they were coming through, my husband and others, to say, do you want to be Hollywood? Do you want to be gymnastics? Do you want to be earthy? You have to figure out what you want to be through this. And I made her video this because I was still in shock that this had happened. And from that journey, Holly tapped me into something called automatic writing through a company called Tut. I didn't know what that was either, by the way. I took this Tut course. I became, through that, an automatic writer to this day. It went from automatic writing to automatic through a computer. So I have been able to write a couple of books through my computer, through heaven to earth, because of this crazy journey. I have not told anybody about this. This is Miracle in Itself, which is up for publishing. But I want to share this miracle, and I'll let it go here because at 70 years old, I feel like my journey is first starting. And that was part of my healing, getting me through the loss and everything else. So people look at things differently. I'm living a crazy miracle late in life and moving forward, being part of this author journey and meeting Raoul and all of you and Brittany and you, Susie, is changing my life, and being on Times Square, by the way. So anyway, I'll let you take over. And I think I said an awful lot.
Susie, do you want to go first?
Well, first of all, I just would like to put a little plug in for the book that we're all in together. This is the book that Bonnie co-authored with me and Ra, and this talked all about abundance. And now she's going to be writing in the next book all about resilience. And you have a lot to say about resilience. So I'm super excited about that. And I want to hear too more about the automatic writing, because when you said Todd, that's Mike Dooley, right? You study with Mike Dooley?
Yes.
He's amazing. So is your next book, was it channeled, or like, because you said automatic writing? So tell me about
Okay.
that state and what's come through so far. Like what's come through since he's been doing that?
Okay. So my first book is transcribed from the mediumship, which was 14 of them. And we're talking an hour to an hour and a half, a mediumship. So that's a miracle in itself. I designed it from, that one was more through me, but partially designed through Heaven to Earth. But the real automatic writing started after my Art of Living retreat. And they brought me into, I kept asking them during the mediumship, could somebody really write a book from Heaven to Earth and learn this information to write it? Like, that was blow away from me, from Brooklyn, New York. So you hear my accent. So this, like, I didn't understand this. And long story short, I have 250 pages designed, written, from poems to prose to stories. And I'll tell you more of the miracle if you want it.
Please.
There are 4 archangels writing in my books through automatic writing.
Mm-hmm.
So all my books, my second book mostly, has been done through automatic writing. I did have a lot of books on automatic writing. It's easy to get lost in the swirls because until you figure it out. But once you get past that, they will literally take my hand, and I didn't tell you some other miracles, but they literally could take my hand and write words. Like, I could pick up a pen on a piece of paper. I'm not writing it. They're actually writing words through my hand. Hard to show through a Zoom like this. Yeah. They also taught me during my mediumship how to use a pendulum to ask questions to get yes or no answers. And they were on the dot, especially if I had to find something urgent and important. So pendulums, I guess, don't work for everybody, but for me, it worked. They used to teach me to use my finger. And through my finger, they would say, if you keep your finger straight up, it's a no. And this is before the pendulum. And if it goes down just slightly, then it's a yes. And they're doing that to me. They could literally, if my hand is down on my desk here, they can shift my hand and move a pen, a remote, a penny, because their energy is now through me, that they can move that stuff. I'll save some of the other miracle for the next time we're together, because I don't know how much time you have here, because it is, at 70 years young, a crazy miracle moving forward. And I'll tell you more about who's in my books the next time.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing openly and authentically. I am very familiar with the Art of Living. And if we do end up doing a live Trauma Talks in LA, hopefully we can use their ashram out here in Los Angeles. That is with Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. Amazing individual. Sky breathing is one of their main key things as well. And I was wondering, as you were telling your story, I was like, you keep on dealing with these mediums. I was waiting for you to tap into your mediumship as well, because usually, when they start tapping into others, it's like there's a blockage there, because initially when our loved ones pass on, like they somewhat step into guides. Like for me, I grew up in a haunted house, so very much like I'm like, just go for it, please do. But like my great grandmother, she's a matriarch of the family. Everybody traces their lineage through her. And she even visited my daughter when my daughter was younger. My daughter sprouted off her name, and we call her, like, the only time we speak of my great grandmother is by her last name, Grandma Leone. And no, my daughter came up with her first name, which is Eugenia, and she did it with the Italian accent. And she would talk with an Italian accent when she was little, around 3-4 years old. And I was like, Yeah, she's been visiting you. So, it's like there is also a story from the 80s, which was an early school incident with a bombing, prior to the uptick in school shootings. Obviously, a huge mental health issue that is not being addressed. And, come to find out, it's been going on for a very long time and still we're missing the mark on it. But that story, basically, person went in to bomb the school. It was like an ex-police officer or whatnot, definitely dealing with a mental health crisis. And the students there, the bomb went off. Everybody was in like one space, but the bomb, the way it exploded was completely abnormal. Nobody can explain it. It went like straight up, only affected the one dude, and he had like a girlfriend or something with him supporting him. But pretty much everybody else was okay. Maybe minor injuries. And come to find out later on, like the kids had seen what they called angels. Come to find out, even later after that, they were ancestors. So, you can see this throughout human history, tapping into ancestors, connecting with our ancestry, which is so key to the human experience, understanding where you come from and connecting that with identity, which I think is very beautiful how you wove that in. Being highly multi-talented, and this will be one of the last questions. Yes, we're going over time, so hang tight, people. This is a great, great story time and a great person to be with tonight, great people to be with tonight. And being highly multi-talented, what are some of the unique challenges that you think you've faced and ultimately helped you to find this path, besides, having loved ones pass away, but more connecting with your identity on a deeper level? Like, what was the things that just kind of ended up clicking for you on this journey?
Would you believe that growing up, I had the lowest self-esteem? I just didn't have confidence. People would always tell me you have low self-esteem. I had teachers that told me you have low self-esteem. I used to think I was sort of dyslexia, like I wasn't the brain of the school. I was average student, but my low self-esteem had impacted me. But when I actually when I started my interior accessory design business, and also in the film animation, when I started going through that journey and made it through the art school, my self-esteem started getting better. But it could be knocked down real easy, because you can have somebody that could love you in the arts and that could dismiss you with a portfolio. And now I realize how personal it is, because here my low self-esteem went up when Sesame Street and the Screen Cartoonists Guild accepted me, and I became an interior accessory design director within a year and a half of starting that company. So and I started teaching the things that I was weak at, or teaching the things that impacted me. And I would tell people I had low self-esteem. But when you start becoming a public speaker and you start having to speak in large groups, you realize that you're coming out of it. And I know that we're looking always to come out of it. And to this day, at 70 years old, it still impacts me that way. Sometimes I still question my self-esteem. But I also look at my journey, like you're seeing, and other people, like strangers, would go, wow, you've been on that journey. But sometimes we take things for granted that we've done, and that's taken for granted. And we forget the things that we've actually accomplished. And sometimes people will go, well, that was your past. What's today? Well, moving forward today, I love being part of the author circle. That has definitely put me on a positive flow, meeting all of you, because that's blowing my mind. And my journey of writing is just beginning, and creating, because I want to do other children's books. That's why I loved seeing Melly and that, seeing how they're doing that, because the arts are changed so much technology wise, and publishing is such a journey, from hybrid publishing to self-publishing to big publishing. And boy, that took me 3 years to figure out before I even published my books. So I know that all of you will help and support me, and I will help and support you guys in ways, because I will rescue anybody that needs rescuing. I do know people who have committed suicide. I know people's children that had done that. So I know my son once rescued somebody that talked to him about it at a young age in high school. So my family is spiritual in that way. They will rescue anybody if that's possible, and they have done it. And hopefully it's passed on in the heart, because I will pass it on to you guys at my young age. And I still don't admit I'm 70, but we never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Mhm.
And so I have to make every day count moving forward, because we don't know how long we have on our life. I did not expect my husband to pass away at 76, but I have my videos singing to me from stage. And those are things that heal me and got me through that, plus other shows that he was in that when he was able to sing. So I have that in my mind. I was able to talk about that through my communication a lot, and living a miracle moving forward day to day with all this publishing and being able to talk about this publicly, which I haven't.
Thank you so much for sharing on this platform. Whew, I mean, this conversation could go on and on and on and on. But where can people find you if they want to connect with you? And do you support people with the automatic writing, or is it?
Well, if the touch course still exists, then definitely recommend that. It does not work for everybody, because I only know of myself that it had worked for, and a few others. But it is a place to start. My mediumship isn't like a medium. Like, I follow Matt Fraser and people like that on Facebook. I know of others. Many of them do large groups, and there are psychics and there are mediums that are different than psychics. There's a whole different ball game. Like, in my mediumship, they use my name, my mother's name. Like, they go for Fran, and I'm like, whoa. So they, or they would come up with my husband's father's name, and he was like an adopted father, and he didn't like me because I was Jewish, and they didn't like me for that. And he says, well, you're up in heaven. There are two peas in a pod. And I was like, what was me? So I was shocked by some of that stuff, but they were they go Ed. And I'm like, wow, they're actually using the name. They wouldn't know that. So some are very psychic. I'm not saying all in all, but I'm learning about it because I've been to enough spiritual things, and I've been studying it long enough to know some are better with groups, and they'll just find one thing that they can psych and connect with. And there's other mediums that are famous, all different price ranges, from $40 to could be a couple $100,000. So it's really connecting to the ones that could connect with names and more realistic stuff. But with my books, you see on Pinterest angels, but you never know that they're going to write through your books. And I have them throughout my whole book. So I would not myself been able to write these things. That came from them, and it'll blow away when this gets published. And that's why it was important to find a spiritual publisher, not just a religious publisher, which is different. So that's my journey now. And that's what's making me excited moving forward, because I have a lot to look forward to with this. And we work with Robert W. Jones, who we love. He's very spiritual, believes in angels. And I see signs everywhere, by the way. And it's throughout my book. 777 was my husband's veteran stone. And I see the 77 everywhere. So I have other numbers that have connected the dots to others on my journey, which I'll save and you'll see in my book. But living a crazy miracle at 70, and I can't wait to tell you more when I can.
Amazing. And then where can people find you and your books at?
Well, I'm working on my own for the first time, publishing my own books, my own children's book right now. That's a long story on that. And then the other two books, I'm still navigating who I'm going to have publish that, because a lot of them use AI, and my books are so magically and they're designed that it can't be just turned into words. So I can't just have like AI turning. Somebody did that, and I was like, I can't turn it into just regular language. It has to be designed like an art, like an illustration. So whoever's going to do this 250 pages is going to have to be able to copy it just as is. And they could change typefaces. And that's my journey of publishing, that I have to be very careful that it is design, that the designs come through. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And hopefully I have support that will be able to help me bring that through.
Awesome. Yes, definitely. Yes, Obi agrees.
I love that name.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you one more thing since you have an animal. I had two adorable dogs, and my puppies, they missed their father so much. My husband passed away in November and Thanksgiving. My Diamond, she was also known as Diamond Lucy, she's in the book. She passed away a month later, and my other dog passed away 2 months later. Both of them wanted to be with him. And they loved they were always with him, and they couldn't, and that came through in the reading that they missed him.
Yeah, that's a bond right there for sure.
Yes. So animals are amazing.
Yes, they are. They truly are. So I do have a website for you here. It is Bonnie Zaruches dmv.tsrhomesearch.com. Is that
yes?
correct?
And they should have my email, which I just use blierse@gmail. My phone number is around.
Oh, no phone number.
They have this an email. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on social media, so I can be found through social media.
So it's BLIERSE
at
gmail.com.
Yeah.
All right. And
but I'm on
what was that?
Yeah, I'm on social media.
Social media as well, under that same name, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. And real quick, we're gonna fast fire through some comments. So beautiful, you touch my heart. Let's see. Could we have submitted next time? Oh, I think that's for the Mother's Day opportunity. That's amazing to support the disabled community. Please show love to Bonnie. Would you like to read some as well, Susie?
Oh, where are we? I have Happy Mother's Day.
At Agents for Poor Mental Health with the Hearts was the last one I got.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's a lot. That's when you were telling your story. And Sweetie says, I love you. Viva Met says, much love to you, Bonnie. And Steve Roy says, thank you for sharing. Amazing story from Robert Pauline Singh. To Maverly Patrick, this is so interesting. And thank you, Miss Bonnie Bonfire Lierse, for your interesting journey in this life. And from Kay, happy Mother's Day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And is there one word or words of wisdom that you would like to leave with our community tonight? And that goes for both you, Bonnie, and you, Susie, as well.
Be the difference. Be the difference. Be different than everybody else. Do the opposite. If I went with what everybody else told me, go get a full-time job, do this, do that. I was an entrepreneur. I did the opposite. And I just will tell everybody, be the difference and pay it forward.
It's beautiful. I'm going to say, be a friend, because we all need friends. Everybody. That's what can pull you out.
Boy, do we.
Yeah, that's what can pull you right out. Community. Just be a friend to somebody in need.
Amazing.
I'll rescue anybody and be a friend.
Aw.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being available to our community and for being open in sharing your incredible miracles and your incredible journey as well.
I hope I didn't say too
No,
much.
we dive in, we dip our toes in spiritual here. Because that, I mean, for some people, that is the way through of connecting with a divine presence in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes that's that one little piece that they're missing. You never know. And it's like just how mediumship supported you through grief. There are so many people that have also been supported through mediumship. And that's why it actually exists. It is a huge support for the grieving process and guidance, and knowing that, you know, I look at it both ways, both spiritual and scientific, knowing that they're still around. Scientific side of that is energy doesn't dissipate. Like, mass is fairly finite, right? Energy is the same way. And that is dabbled with in science. So to wrap things up, the theme seems to be resilience. That came up quite a few times. So I really, considering
And that's your book, Brittany, right?
Yeah, so this is a journal that I just launched.
Let's see that again. Let's see that again.
Oh,
Yep.
our topic.
Yeah, but I mean, that it's coming up a lot lately, and that comes through as a message right now that I really hope that people are listening to. And that is our whole point and purpose of being here, to share these stories of resilience, to get you through these situations, and hopefully to get our community members to step up and share their stories as well. We have a huge opportunity in New York on Broadway, which these lovely ladies hopefully will both be there. I will be there sharing another amazing story as well. But we are also still looking for a few speakers who want to join us, who want to leave that lasting impact for the world. Share your story, share it forward, and step into your spotlight, your purpose, your power. And it comes with a whole lot of goodies, lots of bells and whistles. And if you are not ready to share your story yet, come join us to listen to ours. So tickets are available, and we still have a few guest spots open. So feel free to comment on this video. If you're listening to this podcast, feel free to comment as well. I know they got comment spaces all over here. Or you could reach out to mrtraumatalks.com to find out more information. We would love to hear from you. And if this story has supported you, or if you know that it can support someone, please share it forward. Do not keep this hidden. Do not withhold this from someone in need. Think of someone that you have not talked to for a while, and then see if they need to hear this message that Bonnie has left with us, or the music that Susie has graced us with, or the Happy Mother's Day tidings from Ra's amazing singing, or the story that suicide is not the best option, and that there is always a way through, and that we're here to support you as much as we can, and that support is available for you wherever you are at in your life's journey. So share this forward, because it is impactful, it is powerful, and we need to connect with what it means to be human, which is what we used to do. We used to share these stories back in the day when we didn't have TV, when we didn't have distractions of social media. We sat down and we shared our stories of resilience. So let's take the moment to do that. Happy Mother's Day to the moms out there. And we love you. Thank you for being part of our community. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Trauma Talk Thursdays. We will see you next time, next Thursday, same time, same channels. Thank you again.